Hello and welcome into the Bradley Basketball pregame show with Ben Line-Neumann and Larry Larson. I'm Joey Wright. Later in the program, we'll catch up with Cameron Irwin and our women's basketball crew, but for now, we are courtside at Carver Arena, counting you down to Bradley's contest against IUPUI on Saturday. Larry, we'll start with you before we get to the IUPUI matchup. As we begin to write the essay of the season, we've got to go back and give it a little context. Let's start with Bradley's loss against St. Joe's on Tuesday night.
Of course, the Braves traveled to Philadelphia. They took the 86-81 loss. All things considered, not the worst loss to start the season. It was the Braves' first road season opener since 2009. That's been a while. Of course, none of the players on this team have played a road season opener, so a new experience. And all things considered, it was a good experience. Very big crowd, noisy crowd in Philadelphia at St. Joseph's. And so it's a good experience for the team to go on the road against another really good mid-major conference opponent in the A-10 member St. Joe's. And all things considered, not the worst loss in the world. The offense was high tempo. The defense showed flashes. Not a awful loss, but of course you want to win them all.
That you do, Ben?
Yeah, like Larry said, I wouldn't be too concerned with this loss. While the Braves didn't shoot the ball too well, only shooting 30% from the field, they shot the ball well from three, shooting 45%. Koch Bar had a great game with 13 points, 12 boards, 2 blocks, shooting 6 of 11 from the field. So I believe if he can keep that up, the Braves are in for a good season.
And you mentioned Koch Bar. I'm sure he'll come up in our conversation a little later when we talk about X factors. But now we've got to look ahead to IUPUI. And Larry, I think the hardest part of this game is just going to be saying that name, because IUPUI stands for Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis.
Yeah, an opponent that's been on the Braves schedule a few times the last few years. Last year, the Braves traveled to Indianapolis and took the loss. So I think revenge is on the mind of these Bradley Braves when it comes to this game. They're going to be in front of a big crowd, home opener here at Carver Arena. First official game back since that MVC tournament championship and the NCAA tournament appearance. Peoria is going to show out, and I think there's going to be a big crowd and a home court advantage.
Yeah, Ben, look behind us at the Carver Arena. It's going to be packed on Saturday night.
Yeah, Joe, I agree with what Larry said. If the crowd's hyped, then the team will do well. I remember when we played IUPUI 2 years ago, the crowd was energized. The team went on to beat the IUPUI. So I think if we keep that same energy, the team will do well.
It'll be a fun one to watch, Bradley and IUPUI here on Saturday night. And we teased earlier X factors, because there are a lot of guys on this Bradley team that can step up and make an impact. We talked about Koch Bar, played well against St. Joseph's on Tuesday night. Guys, who are some other guys we can expect to see step up?
Yeah, Joey, I think there are a number of guys that could step up and really need to step up, considering the amount of glue guys and key leaders on this team that the team lost. Taking a look at Luke Lundy, D'Lo, Luke Van Bray, all those guys graduated last year, and they were all starters. So I think a number of guys need to step up, and I think the biggest player that we're going to see take a leap is Deshaun Henry, sophomore forward. He's going to be the sixth man off the bench this year. We saw Nate Cannell come off the bench last year for the Braves, averaged around 10 points. I think we could see more of the same from him. He scored 10 points the other night at St. Joseph's, and I think we could see more of that from him the rest of the season.
Ben?
Yeah, now one thing that Bradley did this offseason is get a lot of transfer students. And one of these transfer students I think is going to make a big impact is Daniel Kingsby. From Southern Idaho and LSU, this kid is a really athletic guard, can shoot the three, can pass the ball. I think he's going to be a great factor for this team.
Yep. And Larry, you had a good piece about Kingsby in the Scout a few weeks ago. He's excited. He hasn't played a competitive game in a while. Step back into action against St. Joe's on Tuesday, and he's ready to go.
Of course, you can just tell the excitement when he takes the floor. He plays a lot of energy. He's high pace, and we're going to see a lot more higher pace from this Braves team. And I think Kingsby, like Ben said, is going to be a key piece of that. He can shoot the three, he can pass the ball, and he said he's willing to do whatever the team needs. He can score the ball. He can be a true point guard passing first, and he can pretty much do it all. And I think he's going to be a really key piece to this team's success.
Kingsby, Henry, they'll look to step up for the Braves this season. We'll shift gears a little bit now and talk about the Missouri Valley Conference as a whole. Our Mitch Kaminski stepped in yesterday to make some picks from around the valley this weekend. Here's what he predicted.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Kaminski, and these are my picks for this weekend's men's Missouri Valley basketball games. Loyola versus Furman. Loyola has the preseason player of the year, Cameron Cutrick. They were in the Final Four 2 years ago, where they are very well coached. It's Porter Moser. He's excellent. They got Sister Jean, so God's on their side, and I'm rolling with the Ramblers to beat Furman. Southern Illinois versus Delaware. The Blue Hens lost their leading scorer and rebounder last season, Eric Carter. Then Ithel Horton took his talents to Pitt. Regardless, this team was struggling defensively, ranked among the worst in Division I hoops. While it's important for them to figure out how they're going to replace the production they lost, they need to get organized defensively as well. Meanwhile, Southern Illinois, their roster was gutted last year as well. It's time to bring out the 2-box. It's a rebuild for them. This game's going to be the battle of mediocrity, but I'm picking the Blue Hens to win. Northern Iowa versus Northern Illinois. The all-time series is Northern Iowa is leading Northern Illinois 2-0. Northern Iowa has this kid, A.J. Green. I remember watching him in the Missouri Valley Conference game last year. He was wearing this really poor-fitting T-shirt. He looked like a trombone player that snuck on the court, but looks can be deceiving. The kid was balled out. He was one of the best players on the floor. He was a Missouri Valley Conference Freshman of the Year last year, and I think he's going to lead UNI to extend their undefeated record over Northern Illinois 3-0. Ball State versus Evansville. Ball State's going to be interesting this year. They've underperformed the last couple seasons, and injuries have played a big part of that. Taylor Persons, one of the best players, also left. So it'll be interesting to see if others are going to be able to step up now that he's gone. Meanwhile, the Aces, they lost 3 of their top 5 scorers, but they got KJ Riley returning and Josh Hall, who's a glass eater. I'm going to pick Ball State to win this one, but I think Evansville is going to be an interesting to watch this year, despite the fact they'll finish in the middle of the standings. Dayton versus Indiana State. Dayton's had the most depth they've had in a while, especially under head coach Anthony Grant. And that's something they're going to need to take advantage of. Transfers are going to be a huge part of the Flyers this season, and they got a good balance and size. Indiana lacks size, and it's going to hurt them throughout the season, including this matchup against Dayton's Obi Toppin, who was the Flyers' leading scorer last year. So I'm going with Dayton to win this one. Valpo versus St. Louis. St. Louis won the A-10 tournament despite underperforming in the regular season and failing to win 20 games. They're a lot like Bradley, where they got hot late. They lost 3 starters, 2 of the leading scorers. However, Valpo is going to be one of the worst teams in the Valley this year, and they're not going to be able to squeak by St. Louis and that ugly Billiken mascot. Alabama State versus Missouri State. The Bears are the Valley's consensus favorite thanks to returning all-conference players and top scorers Tulia De Silva and Keandre Cook, along with a plethora of talented transfers and freshmen. The recruiting class is among the best in the mid-major, and Alabama State, they finished 12-19 last year. Missouri State's going to win this game. Well, those are my picks for this week. Back to you guys.
Thanks to Mitch for making his picks, and guys, we'll go and make our picks now, too. We will start with Loyola and Furman. There's some history there. Furman got him last year. Loyola's going to be looking to get back into the win column.
Yeah, absolutely, Joey. And Furman, a good ball club last year. They upset a number of teams. It wasn't just Loyola. They went on the road and upset another big name. It's leaving me at the moment. However, I think Loyola's going to go to Furman. They've got revenge on the brain. I think they're going to take the win.
Yeah, like Larry said, I think revenge is going to be a key topic to this Loyola season. Cameron Kurtwig, only a junior, is going to be leading the Ramblers. Scored 15 points last season with 7 boards, and I think he's going to step up even more this season.
Next game, Southern Illinois at UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio. That game in Florida as part of a tournament. Who you got?
Joey, SIU's got a lot of talent this year, but it's going to be hard for them to put it together. First-year head coach Brian Mullins, he's got the team going in the right direction. I think it's going to be hard for them to win a lot of big conference games. I've got UTSA.
Yeah, I agree with what Larry said. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle at the beginning of the season with this new coach, new squad. They did finish 3rd in the Valley last season, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time for them to get on a roll.
Now moving into Saturday, Southern Illinois at Delaware. The Blue Hens could be tough for that Southern Illinois ball club with a new head coach.
Yeah, Joey, I think Delaware is going to be even tougher than UTSA. I like SIU's chances against UTSA a little better than I like them against Delaware. I think Delaware takes this one easily.
And I have to agree with Larry. I think that Delaware is a very good squad, very good team, and I think that they can take SIU.
A battle of the Northerns on Saturday. You've got Northern Iowa at Northern Illinois. Panthers and Huskies, and two mid-major teams, Valley versus the MAC. I think that's going to be a really fun one.
Yeah, Joey, I've got my eyes on that matchup. However, I think UNI is one of the better teams in the MVC this year. They bring a lot of returning starters back. I think they're going to take down the Huskies.
Yeah, I agree with what Larry said. I think that they are returning a lot of starters. A.J. Green, leading scorer as a freshman, scoring 15 points a game, and I think that he's going to get even better as his years in UNI go.
Northern Iowa, of course, advanced to the Valley title game last year before falling to Bradley. Next game, a fun one, Ball State and Evansville. Will it be chirp chirp, or will it be an ace in the hole?
You know what, Joey? Sorry to our executive producer, if you will, Tim Rushi, but I've got to take the aces. Walter McCarty's doing a lot of good things down there in Evansville, and I like them to come away with the upset of sorts.
Now I'm gonna play on the side of Tim Rushi. I think that the Redbirds have a good squad, and I'm going to pick ISU.
Certainly a fun one to keep an eye on, that Ball State-Evansville game. I'll throw Tim a bone and pick Ball State if that means anything. Next one, though, is St. Louis at Valparaiso, guys, and a lot of turnover for Valpo this year. St. Louis, I think they see that as an easy win.
Yeah, I think so too, Joey, and Valparaiso going to St. Louis for that game. Valparaiso, like SIU, has a lot of pieces. They won their season opener the other night on a buzzer beater. I think they could give St. Louis a scare, but I like the Billikens in this game.
Yeah, I'd have to disagree with Larry. I think while Valpo needs to do a better job at scoring, they have really good defensive pieces. Javon Freeman Liberty leading the Valley in steals last season. I think he's going to be a key piece to this Valpo squad.
And then finally on Saturday, Indiana State at Dayton. Hard-pressed not to pick Dayton, but Indiana State, I'll be looking to pull off the upset.
You know, Joey, I might sound like a broken record, but a lot of these teams that I think are going to be lower in the Valley have pieces, and they're going to have the potential to pull off a few upsets. I don't think the Sycamores win this game, but like I said earlier about Valparaiso, I think they could give them a scare, and I think they could win a few games in the Valley.
I'd have to agree. I think it's going to be a close matchup between the Sycamores and the Flyers, but as I say, I think the Flyers are going to fly and cruise past the Sycamores.
And then moving into Sunday, Southern Illinois still in action in Florida, this time against Oakland. How does that one play out?
Joe, I think that's a little bit more of a winnable game for the Salukis, and I think they take that one.
Now, I think I have to throw a little bit of bias since I'm from Michigan. I have to go with the Golden Bears. I think they have a great squad, and I think they're going to take it over the Salukis.
And then Missouri State, I should say, first time we've brought them up. They're in action against Alabama State. A lot of people around the Valley very high on this Missouri State team.
You know, Joey, I'm one of them. I think that Dana Ford down there in Springfield brought in a lot of big names, a lot of big recruits, 4-star recruits, a lot of big transfers that are just coming off their redshirt season. They lost their season opener at home, so they're going to be hungry. I think they take this game pretty easily.
I have to agree. You know, Missouri State projected to win the Valley this season, keeping a lot of pieces like Tulio da Silva, while also adding a lot of 4-star recruits, like Larry said, like Isaiah Motley. So I think that the Grizzlies will take this game.
And then our final game, Little Rock and Illinois State. Little Rock, they play a fun brand of basketball. They like to dunk the ball. But Illinois State, a big win against Belmont on Wednesday.
Yeah, Joey, this might be the game of the week in the Missouri Valley. Little Rock just went on the road and beat Missouri State in their season opener. Now they head to Illinois State, like you said, fresh off that win against Belmont. Believe it or not, I think Dan Muller's squad is going to take this game.
Yeah, like you said, Joey, Little Rock plays a fast-paced offense. They beat Missouri State, and I really think that they can take it to ISU.
And then final pick, how about us three versus this fly that's been flying around here for the last several minutes? Little guy just wants to be on TV.
I think he's winning, Joey. I think he's winning.
Oh, he's got it. He's got it in the bag. All right, guys. And then looking at Bradley and IUPUI, no prediction here, but I do want to make some predictions in terms of picks to click. Who's going to step up and have a big game for the Braves?
Joey, the other night before Bradley's season opening matchup at St. Joseph's, I tweeted, Koch Bar's going to have a big game. Koch Bar got a double-double. I'm going to have to go Koch Bar again. I think he's going to have a big game. I think he's taken some steps over the offseason. He's bulked up. I'm a big believer in Koch Bar, and I think he's going to have a big game.
Yeah, I agree with what Larry said. I think that if Koch Bar can limit his turnovers, he's going to be a really key piece for this squad. However, I'm going to go with Jay-Sean Henry. He's looking to be the sixth man for this squad, and I think that he can really pull it up with his athletic ability.
Certainly guys to keep an eye on. And Larry, I think this basketball team for Bradley, they're saying, tweet at us, mention us before the game.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm probably going to tweet out a player that I like before each game, or a player to watch for Bradley. At least that's what I did, and it seemed to work out pretty good for Mr. Bar.
Gave Koch Bar a long game. He was drilling them from 18 feet away.
Yeah, exactly. If he can continue to make those shots, it's going to be so hard to guard him, because you want to guard a 6'11 player in the post, and usually you give more players like that a little more room around the perimeter. But if Barr and Elijah Childs can knock down those mid-range jumpers and beyond the arc, this Brave squad could be really scary.
That they could, guys. We'll send it down to Renaissance Coliseum and our women's basketball team in just a minute, but before we do, any final thoughts?
You know what, Joey? I think this team could be the best Bradley team since the 2006 squad that made a run to the Sweet 16. They've got a lot of key pieces, but they just got to stay focused and put it all together.
I agree. It's while they keep key pieces, it's going to be a little bit of a transition with a big new squad with transfers and a lot of freshmen. And with a tough Valley, I think they might struggle a little bit, but I think that this is going to be a really good squad that can potentially make it to the madness again.
Certainly, we'll see how it all plays out. Bradley and Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. But for now, we send it down to Renaissance Coliseum. Cameron Irwin and our women's basketball crew, they're previewing the women's team over there, guys.